Have you ever felt it? That familiar ache, that dull throb of recognition when you find yourself, yet again, standing at the precipice of a pattern you swore you broken? It's a whisper in the dark, a shadow stretching long behind you. Even when the sun is high, you vow this time will be different. You promise yourself you've learned, you've grown, yet the script plays out with uncanny precision. The same arguments erupt, the same relationships crumble, the same self-sabotage kicks in, like an unseen hand guiding your steps back to the very place you fought so hard to escape. What if I told you that this unsettling déjà vu, this relentless loop, isn't a flaw in your character, but profound, albeit painful, communication from the deepest parts of your being? What if these recurring patterns are not random acts of fate, but echoes of something buried, something powerful, something demanding your attention? Today, we're going to venture into the hidden chambers of your mind to unearth the secret architect of your repetitive struggles, the shadow effect. We'll explore how your deepest traumas compel you to repeat destructive patterns, and more importantly, how you can finally break free. This isn't about quick fixes or magical thinking. It's about a profound journey of self-discovery, a psychological breakthrough that will empower you to rewrite your story. If you're ready to stop the cycle, to truly understand the forces at play within you, then stay with me. This is where your transformation begins. The human mind is a labyrinth, intricate and profound, a universe contained within the skull. And within this universe, there exist territories we rarely explore, corners we instinctively avoid. Carl Jung, the brilliant Swiss psychiatrist, illuminated one such territory, a concept he called the shadow. It's not inherently evil, as many assume, but rather the unconscious aspect of the personality that the conscious ego does not identify in itself. It's everything we deem unacceptable, undesirable, or even too powerful to integrate into our conscious self. Think of it as a personal attic, where we stash away all the aspects of ourselves we've been told are bad, weak, unlovable, or too much, traits, emotions, and experiences that didn't fit the mold of who we were supposed to be. And here's the crucial part. Our traumas, those searing moments of pain, betrayal, and neglect, are often the primary architects of the shadow. When a child experiences emotional abandonment, for instance, the parts of them that crave connection, that feel vulnerable and needy, might be pushed into the shadow, deemed dangerous or shameful. When a young person is ridiculed for expressing their creativity, that vibrant, imaginative self might be exiled. These exiled parts don't disappear. They simply recede into the unconscious, exerting a powerful, often unseen, influence on our lives. They become the puppeteers of our self-defeating patterns. The shadow effect manifests in myriad ways, but its core mechanism is repetition compulsion. This isn't some mystical curse. It's a deeply ingrained psychological drive to repeat past experiences, particularly traumatic ones, in an unconscious attempt to master them, to gain control over what felt uncontrollable. Imagine a child who grew up with an emotionally volatile parent, constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing when the next outburst would occur. As an adult, this individual might unconsciously seek out partners who are emotionally unpredictable, recreating the very dynamic they desperately wish to escape. Why? Because the brain, in its profound and often misguided attempt to heal, believes that by re-entering the familiar territory of the wound, it can finally find a different outcome. It's a desperate plea from the unconscious. This time, I'll fix it. This time, I'll be strong enough. This time, I'll get the love I deserved. But without conscious awareness, without truly integrating the exiled parts of the shadow, we simply replay the same scenes with different actors, expecting a different ending. It's like trying to solve a complex puzzle with missing pieces. You'll keep rearranging the same fragments, never achieving the full picture. Consider Maria, a bright, ambitious woman who consistently found herself in relationships where she felt unseen and unheard. Her partners, though seemingly different on the surface, all shared a common thread, an inability or unwillingness to truly connect on an emotional level. Maria, intelligent and self-aware, would often express frustration, asking herself, "Why do I always pick these types?" What Maria didn't consciously realize was that her earliest experiences with her father, a brilliant but emotionally distant man, had created a deep-seated wound. Her attempt to gain his attention and affection were often met with indifference or a dismissive pat on the head. In response, little Maria pushed her innate need for deep emotional validation into her shadow, believing it was a weakness, something undesirable that would only lead to further rejection. As an adult, her unconscious mind, driven by the repetition compulsion, sought out partners who mirrored her father's emotional unavailability, not because she wanted to be ignored, but because her shadow self, still yearning for that elusive validation, believed that if she could just make this type of person see her, then she would finally heal the original wound. She was trying to complete an unfinished emotional equation, but with the wrong variables. This unconscious pull isn't limited to romantic relationships. It permeates our professional lives, our friendships, and even our relationship with ourselves. Perhaps you consistently find yourself in jobs where you feel undervalued, despite your immense talent. Could it be an echo of a childhood where your accomplishments were routinely downplayed or ignored? Maybe you struggle with chronic self-sabotage, an insidious pattern of getting close to success only to pull the rug out from under yourself. Is there a part of your shadow that believes you don't deserve good things, perhaps from a time when success brought unwanted attention or heightened expectations you couldn't meet? These patterns are not random. They are deeply logical responses, albeit maladaptive ones, to past pain. They are the shadow's desperate attempt to communicate, to protect, and paradoxically, to heal. So, how do we begin to unravel this intricate tapestry of repetition? The first and arguably most challenging step is awareness. It requires a radical honesty with ourselves, a willingness to look directly at the patterns we've been avoiding. This is where we begin our journey into the practical steps of breaking the shadow effect. Step 1. Identify your recurring patterns. Take a moment right now to reflect. What are the persistent challenges in your life? Where do you feel stuck? What are the themes that keep reappearing in your relationships, your career, your finances, or your self-perception? Don't just think about the big, dramatic events. Look for the subtle nuances, the recurring feelings, the predictable reactions. Do you always feel misunderstood? Do you frequently find yourself in power struggles? Do you consistently attract people who drain your energy? Write these down. Be specific. This isn't about judgment. It's about observation. For Maria, her pattern was feeling unseen and unheard in close relationships. For someone else, it might be a pattern of procrastination that sabotages their goals, or a tendency to people-please to the point of exhaustion. The clearer you can define your patterns, the better you can begin to trace their origins. If you're finding these insights resonate, and you're ready to dive deeper into understanding the hidden forces shaping your life, make sure to subscribe to Behind Behavior. We explore these profound psychological truths every week, helping you unlock your full potential. Step 2. Trace the roots, the echoes of your past. Once you've identified a pattern, the next step is to courageously ask, where have I felt this before? This is not about blaming your past. It's about understanding its influence. Think back to your childhood, your adolescence. When did you first experience the feelings associated with this pattern? Who were the key figures involved? What were the circumstances? For Maria, feeling unseen and unheard was a direct echo of her relationship with her emotionally distant father. It's not always a direct one-to-one correlation. Sometimes, a pattern might stem from a subtle dynamic, a childhood belief instilled by a teacher, a sibling, or even societal expectations. Perhaps you were always told you were too sensitive as a child, leading to an adult pattern of suppressing your emotions until they explode. This step requires introspection and often a gentle, compassionate inquiry into your own history. If direct memories are elusive, pay attention to the feelings that arise when you contemplate the pattern. Our emotions often hold the keys to our past. Step 3. Unpack the shadow. What parts of you are exiled? This is where we begin to truly integrate the shadow. Once you identify the pattern and its potential roots, ask yourself, what aspect of myself did I push away or deem unacceptable in response to that past experience? For Maria, because her need for emotional connection was unmet by her father, she might have pushed away her vulnerability, her desire for deep intimacy, or even her authentic voice, believing these aspects would only lead to further rejection. She might have developed a strong, independent facade, a protective mechanism that, paradoxically, kept her from a very connection she craved. For someone who was told they were too sensitive, they might have exiled their emotional expression, their capacity for empathy, or their intuitive wisdom. The goal here is to identify the parts of yourself that were deemed unfit and relegated to the unconscious. These are the missing pieces of your puzzle. Step 4. Reclaim and integrate, befriending your shadow. This is the heart of breaking the cycle. Reclaiming your shadow isn't about becoming a bad person. It's about becoming a whole person. It's about acknowledging, accepting, and integrating those exiled parts of yourself. If Maria's shadow held her vulnerability and desire for deep connection, reclaiming it means acknowledging that these are not weaknesses, but fundamental human needs. It means allowing herself to feel vulnerable, to express her needs, and to seek out relationships where those needs can be met. This isn't easy. It often involves challenging deeply ingrained beliefs about yourself and the world. It might mean feeling uncomfortable emotions you've been avoiding for years. A practical exercise for this step is called active imagination, a technique also developed by Jung. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and imagine the exiled part of your shadow as a separate entity, perhaps a figure, a symbol, or even a feeling. For Maria, it might be a small, trembling child yearning for a hug. Engage with this image. Ask it questions. What do you need? What are you afraid of? What message do you have for me? Listen to the answers without judgment. This is a dialogue with your unconscious. The goal is to bring these hidden aspects into conscious awareness, to acknowledge their existence, and to offer them compassion. You are not trying to eliminate your shadow. You are trying to understand it, to integrate it, to make it an ally rather than an antagonist. Another powerful tool for integration is shadow journaling. Dedicate a journal specifically to exploring your shadow. Write about your recurring patterns, your past traumas, and the parts of yourself you've disowned. When you feel a strong negative emotion, anger, shame, fear, instead of pushing away, explore it in your journal. Ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What part of my shadow is speaking? This practice helps to externalize these internal struggles, making them less overwhelming and more manageable. It's a safe space to give voice to the parts of you that have been silenced. Step 5. Conscious choice and new action. Once you've achieved a degree of awareness and begun the process of integration, you gain a powerful new ability, the capacity for conscious choice. The repetition compulsion operates from the unconscious. When you bring the shadow into the light, you break its automatic hold. Now, when you find yourself at that familiar precipice, when the old pattern begins to emerge, you have a moment of pause. Instead of automatically reacting, you can consciously choose a different path. For Maria, this might look like this. She starts dating someone new, and as the relationship progresses, she feels that familiar pang of being unheard. Instead of withdrawing or trying harder to please, or silently resenting, she can pause. She can recognize, this is the pattern, this is my shadow, the part that felt unseen by my father. Try and play out the old script. And then she can make a conscious choice. She might choose to calmly and assertively communicate her needs to her partner. She might choose to observe if her partner is truly emotionally unavailable or her own fear of vulnerability is creating a barrier. She might choose to set a boundary, or even, if necessary, to recognize that this relationship is indeed mirroring an unhealthy pattern and needs to end. The key is that the choice is now conscious, informed by a deeper understanding of herself. This step requires courage and consistent practice. You won't break decades-old patterns overnight. There will be relapses, moments where the old script takes over. But each time you catch yourself, each time you make a conscious choice, you weaken the grip of the shadow effect and strengthen your capacity for self-mastery. Think of it like building a new neural pathway in your brain. The old path is well-worn and easy to fall back into, but with consistent effort, the new path becomes clearer, stronger, and eventually the default. Step 6. Cultivate self-compassion and patience. This journey is not about self-punishment or perfection. It's about growth and understanding. Be kind to yourself. The shadow formed as a protective mechanism, a way for your younger self to cope with overwhelming experiences. It did the best it could with the resources it had. As you uncover these parts, treat them with the same compassion you would offer a wounded child. There will be moments of frustration, sadness, and even anger. Allow these emotions to surface. Process them, and then gently guide yourself back to the path of integration. This is a lifelong process, not a destination. Each layer you peel back reveals another, deeper insight. Embrace the journey with curiosity and unwavering self-compassion. Let's revisit Maria. Through her journaling and active imagination, she began to understand that her strong independence was a shield, and beneath it lay a profound longing for genuine connection, a part of her that felt deeply hurt and unlovable. By acknowledging this vulnerable part, by giving a voice, she started to integrate it. In her next relationship, when she felt unheard, instead of reacting from the old wound, she could pause. She could say to herself, "This feeling of being unseen is a reminder of my past, but it doesn't define my present. I am worthy of being heard." She then consciously chose to communicate her feelings, not with anger or resentment, but with vulnerability and clarity. This time, her partner, who was genuinely supportive, responded with understanding and empathy. The pattern wasn't instantly broken, but Maria had empowered herself to respond differently, creating a new experience, a new outcome. She had taken a significant step toward healing the original wound, not by repeating it, but by consciously choosing a new path. The shadow effect is a powerful force, but it is not an insurmountable one. It thrives in secrecy, in the unexamined corners of our minds. By shining the light of awareness on these hidden patterns, by courageously exploring the roots of our trauma, and by compassionately integrating the exiled parts of ourselves, we reclaim our power. We move from being passive participants in the script written by our past to becoming the conscious authors of our future. This is not about erasing your past. It's about understanding its influence and choosing how you respond to it now. It's about transforming your wounds into wisdom, your pain into purpose. The journey of breaking free from destructive patterns is an ongoing one, a continuous dance between self-discovery and self-mastery. It requires vigilance, patience, and an unwavering commitment to your own growth. But the rewards are measurable. Authentic relationships, a sense of inner peace, genuine self-acceptance, and profound freedom to live a life aligned with your true, whole self. No longer will you be haunted by the echoes of your past. Instead, you will stand in the full power of your integrated being, ready to embrace whatever life brings, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a conscious creator of your reality. The patterns you've been repeating are not your destiny. They are merely signposts, pointing you toward the unhealed parts of yourself that are yearning for integration. Now is the time to answer that call. Now is the time to stop the cycle, to embrace your wholeness, and to finally live the life you were meant to live. Don't let your past dictate your future any longer. If you felt the unsettling grip of these repeating patterns, if you're tired of living the same story on an endless loop, it's time to take action. This isn't just information. It's an invitation to profound change. Start today. Pick one recurring pattern in your life, just one, and begin the process of identifying its roots and the parts of your shadow it represents. Write it down. Reflect on it. Then commit to taking one small, conscious step in a different direction this week. Don't let another day pass where you are dictated by unseen forces. Your breakthrough is waiting. If you found this discussion illuminating and you're ready to reclaim your power, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to Behind the Behavior. Join our community of conscious individuals dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of the mind and forging a path of true self-mastery. Your journey to freedom begins now. In Psychotherapy Office. Day Dr. Lara Reed, 40s, sharp, empathetic, and dressed in professional yet approachable attire. Sits opposite in Y, 30s, initially tense, but gradually showing signs of relief and understanding. The office is warm, filled with natural light, and decorated with calming, minimalist art. Dr. Reed, that's it. Maya, that's the core of it. We often mistake these patterns for external circumstances, blaming luck or others, or even some cosmic force determined to make our lives difficult. But the truth is, the most persistent patterns are almost always internal. Echoes of unresolved conflicts, unacknowledged wounds, or unmet needs from our past. Maya, it's a lot to take in. For so long, I just thought I was unlucky in relationships. Every man I dated started out amazing, and then, inevitably, they become distant, emotionally unavailable, or just disappear, and I'd be left feeling rejected, worthless, and wondering what I did wrong. Again, Dr. Reed, and what do you think is a common denominator in all those scenarios, Maya? Maya hesitates. Then a flicker of realization crosses her face. Maya, me, I'm the common denominator. Dr. Reed, precisely. And that's not a judgment, it's a powerful insight. Because if you're the common denominator, then you also hold the key to changing the equation. We've talked about your childhood, about your father's emotional unavailability, your mother's constant need for external validation, and how you learned to equate love with striving, with trying to earn affection that was often withheld. Maya, I see it now. I keep choosing men who mirror my father, men who make me feel like I have to constantly prove my worth to them. And when they inevitably pull away, it confirms that old belief, I'm not good enough to be truly loved. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Dr. Reed, exactly. The pattern isn't just an external event, the men pulling away. It's the entire internal narrative, the belief system that drives your choices, interprets the outcomes, and reinforces the very wound it originated from. This is where the concept of the shadow becomes so crucial. The shadow isn't just our dark side. It's everything we've deemed unacceptable about ourselves, everything we've repressed or disowned. In your case, Maya, a part of your shadow might be the deeply ingrained belief that you are inherently unlovable unless you constantly strive for approval. Or perhaps, a part that unconsciously seeks out the familiar pain because it feels more predictable, safer even, than the terrifying unknown of true, unconditional connection. Maya, safer? How could pain be safer? Dr. Reed, think about it. The known pain, the familiar rejection, while devastating, is a landscape you understand. You know how to react, what to expect. The unfamiliar territory of true intimacy, where you might actually be seen, accepted, and loved for who you are, without having to perform or earn it. That can be terrifying for the part of us that has only ever known love as a conditional reward. It challenges our fundamental understanding of ourselves and the world. It means letting go of the old defense mechanisms, the striving, the people-pleasing, the constant vigilance. And for a part of you, those mechanisms have been your survival tools. Maya, it's like, I'm addicted to the struggle, to trying to fix what can't be fixed, because that's what I learned love was. Dr. Reed, a profound realization. And this isn't unique to romantic relationships. We see these patterns everywhere. The individual who constantly finds themselves in financially precarious situations, despite earning a good income, might be replaying a childhood narrative of scarcity or a subconscious belief that they don't deserve abundance. The person who repeatedly gets overlooked for promotions, despite their competence, might be operating from a deeply ingrained fear of visibility or success, perhaps stemming from a time when standing out brought negative attention. Or the friend who always ends up being the rescuer in their social circles, constantly attracting people in crisis, is likely projecting their own unaddressed needs for validation or control onto others, while neglecting their own self-care. Maya, so how do we stop it? How do we break free when these patterns are so deeply ingrained, almost like a part of who we are? Dr. Reed, the first step, as you just experienced, is conscious awareness, shining a light on the hidden dynamics. It's about moving from unconscious repetition to conscious choice. Once you identify the pattern, you start to observe it without judgment, noticing when it arises, what triggers it, and what internal narratives accompany it. For example, when you feel a familiar pull towards someone who seems emotionally distant, instead of diving headfirst into the dynamic, you pause. You ask yourself, is this the old pattern emerging? What part of me is being activated right now? What unmet need am I trying to fulfill here? And is this person truly capable of meeting it, or am I projecting? Maya, so it's about creating space between the trigger and the reaction. Dr. Reed, exactly. That space is where your power lies. It's where you regain agency. The next critical step is to integrate the shadow aspects that are driving the pattern. This means acknowledging and embracing those parts of yourself that you've repressed. For you, Maya, it might be acknowledging the deeply wounded child within who felt unloved. Instead of trying to fix that feeling by seeking external validation. You turn inward. You offer that part of yourself the compassion, the unconditional love, and the acceptance it never received. This isn't about excusing past behaviors. It's about understanding their origins and healing the root cause. Maya, but how do you do that? How do you love a part of yourself that feels so broken? Dr. Reed, it's a practice, not a one-time event. It involves self-compassion, self-talk, and sometimes even symbolic rituals. You might visualize your younger self and offer comfort. You might write a letter to that wounded part, acknowledging its pain and promising to care for it now. It's about reparenting yourself, giving yourself what you didn't receive. And then, once that integration begins, you consciously choose different actions. If the pattern is seeking out unavailable partners, you might consciously choose to date someone who is openly communicative and emotionally present, even if it feels unfamiliar or even a little scary at first. You commit to staying in the discomfort of the new, rather than retreating to the familiar comfort of the old. Maya, it sounds freeing. Dr. Reed, it is. It's the ultimate freedom. The freedom to be your authentic self, unburdened by the chains of the past. It's about realizing that your past experiences, while painful, were merely lessons. They shaped you, yes, but they do not define your future. You have the power to write a new story, one where you are the conscious author, not just a character being pulled along by unseen forces. Maya, I want to write that new story. I'm ready. Dr. Reed, excellent. Remember, this journey requires patience and self-compassion. There will be moments when you slip back into old habits. That's not a failure. It's an opportunity for deeper learning. Acknowledge it, understand what triggered it, and gently guide yourself back to the path of conscious choice. Every time you choose differently, you are rewiring your brain, creating new neural pathways, and solidifying your commitment to your true self. You are literally changing your destiny, one conscious choice at a time. The journey of breaking free from destructive patterns is an ongoing one, a continuous dance between self-discovery and self-mastery. It requires vigilance, patience, and an unwavering commitment to your own growth. But the rewards are immeasurable. Authentic relationships, a sense of inner peace, genuine self-acceptance, and a profound freedom to live a life aligned with your true, whole self. No longer will you be haunted by the echoes of your past. Instead, you will stand in the full power of your integrated being, ready to embrace whatever life brings, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a conscious creator of your reality. The patterns you've been repeating are not your destiny. They are merely signposts, pointing you towards the unhealed parts of yourself that are yearning for integration. Now is the time to answer that call. Now is the time to stop the cycle, to embrace your wholeness, and to finally live the life you were meant to live. Don't let your past dictate your future any longer. Dr. Reed, VO, if you felt the unsettling grip of these repeating patterns, if you're tired of living the same story on an endless loop, it's time to take action. This isn't just information. It's an invitation to profound change. Start today. Pick one recurring pattern in your life, just one, and begin the process of identifying its roots and the parts of your shadow it represents. Write it down, reflect on it, then commit to taking one small, conscious step in a different direction this week. Don't let another day pass where you are dictated by unseen forces. Your breakthrough is waiting. If you found this discussion illuminating and you're ready to reclaim your power, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe to Behind the Behavior. Join our community of conscious individuals dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of the mind and forging a path of true self-mastery. Your journey to freedom begins now. Fade out.